afternoon. Let's see, let me check the sound. Can everyone hear me okay? Thumbs up. Thank you. And welcome to the Naturalization Ceremony. For those of you whom I haven't met, my name is Gail Glass. I'm a courtroom deputy at the United States District Court in Seattle. Please call me Gail. Through a shared experience with the pandemic, we've all felt difficult times, and I know it took a lot of work for you to get here. So I say to you, enjoy this moment, and no doubt everyone on this stage will say, enjoy today, because this ceremony is for all of you. Please rise. The United States District Court for the Western District of Washington is now in session. The Honorable Ricardo S. Martinez, Chief United States District Court Judge, sitting by designation, presiding. And please remain standing if you're able, and remove your hats if not a part of your attire, for the singing of the national anthem performed by soloist Maria Kosovo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good afternoon, everyone, on this beautiful Seattle day. We're so lucky, I guess it's not too hot today, and so glad and grateful that all of you could join us today. Welcome to our 36th Annual Naturalization Ceremony celebrating our Independence Day. We conduct this ceremony every year in partnership with the Western District Court of Washington and the Seattle Center. My name is Anne Corsano. I'm the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services District Director for the Pacific Northwest. It's our agency that conducted all of your interviews, and we have the mission and privilege of interviewing applicants and making adjudication decisions for those people who apply for immigration benefits. We are so happy to be here today after having to cancel our ceremony last year due to the pandemic. We began planning today's ceremony back in last November when we were still in the throes of the pandemic, and we wanted to go ahead this year and find a way to have the ceremony. So we forged ahead and planned a smaller event today, one that was very careful and to make sure everybody was safe. But we wanted to make sure that we had this very important symbolic event today. So next year we hope, and we'll all remain optimistic, that we'll be out from under the pandemic and we'll be able to have a bigger ceremony, but we are just so thrilled and happy that all of you were able to join us today for this momentous day. I'd now like to introduce our honored guests on stage with me today. Their participation underscores the significance of your citizenship to our country, to our state, and to your communities. On stage with me today are the United States Chief Judge for the Western District of Washington, Ricardo S. Martinez, your Washington State Governor, Jay Inslee, your United States Senator, Maria Cantwell, your Washington Secretary of State, Kim Wyman, the Director of Seattle Center's Facilities, Planning and Operations, Rose Ann Lopez, and the Unit Court Executive for the Western District of Washington, which encompasses both Seattle and Tacoma, Ravi Subramanian. And of course, Gail Glass, you've met, she's already introduced herself. I also want to introduce Alma Plancic, who is, Alma, please stand up, without Alma, this ceremony wouldn't have been here, not just this year, but for the past 35 years. So Alma, thank you for so much that you've done. She's coordinated all the volunteers and all the beauty that we have around us here today. I also want to thank my USCIS staff who helped check you in today and do your interviews, and to the Seattle Center staff that is all around today helping as well. I want to recognize and thank our performing artists today, Maria Kasovia, who sang our national anthem, our Native American performers, Jean Tagaban, Peter Ali, and Swil Kanim, and our soloist today, Josephine Howell. So, thank you and welcome to our ceremony today.
Thank you. Seattle Mayor Jenny A. Durkin was unable to attend today, but she did record a special welcoming message. Mayor Durkin has been our mayor since 2017, but prior to that, she was the United States Attorney in the Western District of Washington. Please join me in listening to the special message from Mayor Durkin to all of you.
Hi, I'm Mayor Jenny Durkin. Welcome to your naturalization ceremony. You've worked so hard to get to this point, and it is such an honor to be part of this really exciting day. I know that you've been on many individual journeys that bring you to the ceremony today. You are all the face of America. While we can never forget that Seattle is named for a great chief and that we stand on Duwamish lands, I think it's also important at this point in the history of America to remember that so many of us came from so many countries from all over the world. And we became, in many ways, that country of immigrants. Immigrants have always given us so much to this country. And I'll tell you, as mayor of Seattle, it is one of the richest parts of who we are. Every day, immigrants and refugees give so much to the city of Seattle. And it's one of the reasons that Seattle continues to be, in my opinion, one of the best places in the world to live. Here in America and in Washington State and Seattle, we need you. We need you every day to do what you do best. In our community, there are immigrants and refugees who are teaching our children, caring for our sick, and thinking, how can I make my community better? Once you take this oath, you will become American citizens. This past year has taught us a lot about our country, our city, and ourselves. We now know more than ever before how important strong communities are. So please, vote when you can, speak out as Americans, exercise your First Amendment rights, but always stand up for your community. Congratulations, welcome to Citizenship, and thank you for being a piece of what makes our city and country such a great place to live.
Thank you, Mayor Durkin. Next, I'm pleased to announce our second speaker, Seattle Center Director of Facilities, Planning and Operations, Roseanne Lopez. Without Ms. Lopez's support and the support of many others from the Seattle Center, we would not have had this wonderful venue for the ceremony today. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Roseanne Lopez.
So thank you. On behalf of the Seattle Center family, we welcome you all to the 2021 Naturalization Ceremony, the 36th ceremony held in the heart of Seattle Center. On this glorious day, I respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish Duwamish people. The entire staff of Seattle Center are pleased to share this day with you, and I thank Alma Plansich and Maria Kasovia for continuing this important legacy each year. Thank you so much. As a naturalized citizen of the United States myself, it is a special honor for me to be here. This naturalization ceremony and each of your decisions to join this country holds a very special place in my heart. In 1974, my family and I immigrated to Seattle's Beacon Hill and Rainier Valley neighborhoods from the Philippines. Our family, my mom, my dad, my sister, and me, arrived in Seattle exactly 1 month after my birth. My older sister and I became naturalized citizens at the ages of 8 and 5. During our naturalization interview process, we were not asked about U.S. history or U.S. government. We were asked, "What is your favorite TV show?" Our enthusiastic response was, of course, Wonder Woman. In the United States, my treasured family has continued to be formed by immigration. My mother-in-law, Na, immigrated to the United States from Vietnam in 1972. Her motto, "If we can do, we must do," embodies her life journey and speaks to the strength, the grit, and the resiliency of people who immigrate. Just as my family and I have a story of what brought us here to America, each of you has a story too. It is our shared stories and the bravery, integrity, and heart that each of you bring that draws us together and makes us a community. Many of you are here today to support a friend and loved one. Your support matters. My mother-in-law had many wonderful people welcome and support her, including a West Seattle neighbor who affectionately became her American grandma. This naturalization ceremony at Seattle Center shows how Seattle Center is the community gathering place in the heart of the city. As we gather here today, please feel the love, the warm embrace, the welcome, the honor, and the gratitude we collectively share as family, friends, and distinguished guests. Thank you for sharing your stories, your lives, as we together build upon the rich culture of our nation and our future. Like you all, I can say with much sincerity, my heart is very full today. We welcome you to your and our collective home. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Next, I'd like to introduce Alma Plantich, our partner in planning and organizing this ceremony for over 30 years. Please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm so surprised to get all these thank yous, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is a very important day for me, and it's an important day for you. For me, it's a reminder of how I came here. And I know you all have stories. We all have stories. And I have a fabulous story, but I'm not going to tell you because today is all about you. And I know this is the smallest group that we've naturalized here, but you're the best looking under those masks. 1 year there was 850, so this is a big, big change. And you are all so important to me for doing this on this day. Now I would like to invite you to welcome the original people of the United States, their ancestors. I would like to welcome Swill Canum on the violin, Jean Tagaban, storyteller extraordinaire, and Peter Ali on the flute. They will, they will be introducing the spirit of the people. Right.
Natsiam, Natschalakasiam, Haishka, family and friends of family, thank you for being here. In the spirit of we the people, we are everyone we are, not part anyone. We are all of our stories, told and untold. We're all of our mistakes, and we are every single one of our victories, no matter how small. The recognition and acknowledgement of that is transformational, like your story is transformational. The recognition and acknowledgement that we, each and every single one of us, are a part of the whole changes the whole world in simply recognizing and acknowledging that. Transformation stories are in every Aboriginal culture from around the world. And I have a friend, his name is Gene Tagaban. He has a transformational story to tell you. So please put your hands together for the one and only Gene Tagaban.
Gonna choose Kaya Yahaktu Salk Takten Tana Kat Kalkita Kalktu Kandu Alkuchiti Wishkatanyaria Hat Haish Shiktihin Yutu Salk Shinkita Waya Slagi Filipino Kat Gonna choose Ho 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 Ho. We have been dreamt into existence. Our ancestors, those greats, dreamt us into existence, and here we are. You see, the indigenous people of this land were not recognized as citizens until 1924. And here we are. Dreams they had for us. You see, I see this place right now, although it is like sparse, the spirit of all our ancestors fill this room, stand-in room only. I encourage each and every one of you as new citizens, keep your heritage. Teach your language so we could truly have a diverse land, and that we could tell the truth of the history and create a common memory of all of us for the future generations. As we are dreaming the future generations into existence. And it reminds me of when Raven was walking along the beach and he looks far out into the ocean and sees an island of fire throwing flames into the sky. And his brother Hawk with a long beak says, "What can I do to help you?" And Raven asked him, "Get that fire for me." And so Hawk gets a branch and it's put in his mouth, his beak, that long beak. It has pitch, and Hawk flies out there, way out there, and he gets that fire, and he's flying back to shore, and that fire starts to burn at his beak, melt it down to the curved beak it is now, and although Hawk is hurting, is suffering, sacrificing, he hangs on to that fire, and Raven takes that fire, and he throws it into the rocks, the trees, the mountains, the water, all the animals. He takes that fire and he throws it into the human beings. And now we have that fire. But more than that, we all share that spirit that walks in all things. And truly one day, as we continue and dream, that we the people actually means we the people. The spirit of we the people. Listen. You see the whispers? listen. Everyone with 2 fingers, join us. One spirit, one spirit. We are the people. Konachish.
Let's have a round of applause for Jean, Peter, and Swell. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful part of our ceremony. One of our traditions at this ceremony is to recognize the oldest candidate and to note that it's never too late to become a citizen of our great country. So today I'd like to ask Marta Nabrita Natura from the Philippines, who is 74 years old, to stand and wave to us. And thank you for participating in our ceremony today, Marta. So. Thank you, Marta. I would also like to recognize from the Army National Guard, Janelle, Candy, Crystal, Alexander Springer, who will also become a U.S. citizen today. Please stand. She has already shown her tremendous dedication to our country with her military service before even becoming a U.S. citizen. So thank you, Janelle, for again being here today. All right. So for all of you out there today now, it's the most fun and important part of our event today. I'm going to announce in alphabetical order your country of former citizenship. And so when I call your country of former citizenship, if you would please stand, wave, and then be seated after that. This is the, so, and you can, if you're okay, you can take off your mask if you'd like for that part as you stand. So here we go. I'm going to call the first country. This is our call of the countries. Australia. One candidate from Australia. You can be seated now. Thank you. Canada. 2 from Canada. There we go. 2 from Canada. China, 5. Great. Egypt, 3. Ethiopia, 1. Guatemala, 1. Hong Kong, 1. And our largest group today, India, 14. All right. Iran, 1. Mali, 1. Mexico, 4. Nepal, 2. The Netherlands, 1. Panama, 1. The Philippines, 3. So Romania, 1. So Russia, 1. Somalia, 1. South Korea, 2. The Sudan, 1. Taiwan, 1. Trinidad and Tobago, 1. There you go. Turkey, 1. So, the Ukraine, 5. There we go. The United Kingdom, 1. And Vietnam, 4. Okay, everyone. Thank you for participating in our Call of the Countries. And now it gives me great pleasure to reintroduce the Honorable Chief Judge Ricardo S. Martinez of the United States District Court for Western Washington. Your Honor, on behalf of the Department of Homeland Security, I present to you 2 motions today for your consideration. The first is a motion to grant 12 name change petitions, and the second is to admit the 60 candidates before you for citizenship. Each of the candidates was found to be of good moral character, attached to the principles of the Constitution, and eligible for U.S. citizenship in every respect. Judge Martinez, I now request that you grant the motions and administer the oath of allegiance on behalf of the United States government.
Director Corsano, The court accepts the motions being presented by the Department of Homeland Security and hereby grants them. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to stand in front of you again today. I just missed the fact that we had so many other people at most of the ceremonies, but you are such a symbolic group. The reopening of our country, again, our community. So nice to see you, even with those masks on. I don't know how many of you realize this. I did not till very recently. Typically, ceremony is held on July 4th. That won't be for another couple of days. Because it falls on a Sunday, we celebrate the national federal holiday on Monday. But today, July 2nd, is actually a very special day. Because you see, the statement declaring the case for American independence was actually voted on by the 13 colonies on July 2nd, 1776, not July 4th. On July 4th, and by the way, of the vote was 12 colonies in favor. One colony, I believe it was New York, abstained. They just didn't vote. They didn't say no, they didn't vote. But it was not until 2 days later that our founding fathers and the fledgling Congress of the United States formally accepted that Declaration of Independence. And that's why we end up celebrating the 4th of July instead of the 2nd. But today, it's exactly 244 years later, each of you here is now ready to become an American citizen. In your program is the oath of allegiance. If I could have all of you who can please stand, go ahead and rise, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I state your name. Hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, and that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Welcome to America. Please, you may all be seated. You've heard about all of us having stories. Every single one of us does have stories. Congratulations to each of you and your families. The last 15 plus months have been very difficult. COVID-19's devastating impact continues to be felt, not only here in our community, but around the entire world. My heart goes out to those who lost that battle and to their families. To those of you who are fully vaccinated, thank you for helping yourself your neighbors, our community, and our country as we fight to recover. From this moment on, you are American, with all the rights and privileges that status brings, free to pursue to the fullest extent of your abilities exactly what our founding fathers, that 244 years ago today, declared to be the most important: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Allow me to tell you just a bit about my personal story. My father, who in 12 days from today turns 95 years old, my father came to this country as a proud citizen of Mexico 75 years ago. He left his homeland, his extended family, for the same reason so many of you have come: the chance for a better life for you and your children. My father could not speak English. He had never had the opportunity to go to school, but he taught himself to read and write, to do math, and to speak English. He married a woman who was an American citizen, also of Mexican descent, and their children, myself, my younger sister, were born in America. My parents, uneducated though they were not unintelligent. They knew that education was the key to their children's success. They worked hard, very long hours at backbreaking labor to provide a loving home for us. I was the first person in my family to go to school. I was the first to go to college. I was the first to have an opportunity to go to law school. If not for their drive, their sacrifice, their ongoing dedication to making a better life for us, I would not be standing before you today as a federal judge. Now all three of my parents' granddaughters have graduated from college. They're all happily married with their own families. They all have professional jobs. One of them is even a lawyer. Who knows? Maybe even a future judge. And 22 years ago, at the age of almost 73, my father asked me a most interesting question. He said to me, "How does one become an American citizen?" I explained to him exactly the same process that each of you has so recently gone through. And he looked at me and he said, "I want to become an American citizen." And I remember looking back at him and saying, "Dad, why? After more than 50 years of living here in the United States, why now?" He looked back at me and he said, "Because this country has been so good to me and my children, and I want to be able to vote." So he did the same thing you've done. He studied American history. Just like you, he took that test. Just like you. And just like you, he passed that test. And just like you, he stood in front of a federal judge to swear the oath of allegiance to his new country. The only difference, the federal judge he stood with was his own son. That was one of the proudest moments in my life for him and for me. By the way, my father has proudly voted in every single election since then. Being an American brings with it rights and privileges, but it also brings responsibilities. Two of those responsibilities are the right to vote and the right to sit on a jury. I love looking out and seeing the faces that are looking back at me. The mayor was absolutely correct when she said, this is the face of America. It's this diversity that makes us strong. It's this diversity and the richness of the backgrounds that you bring to this country that make us great. I look forward to the day when one of you sits as a juror in one of my courtrooms. Congratulations again. It's been an honor and a privilege to swear you in as our newest Americans. I sincerely wish you and your families the absolute best. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Let's welcome our new citizens again with a round of applause. And now a song by our soloist, Miss Josephine Howell.
Welcome home, my brothers and my sisters. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God set his grace on me and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, shining sea. Welcome home.
Thank you, Josephine. You just knocked it out of the park, and wow, what a wonderful rendition of that our special song. So thank you. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Washington Governor Jay Inslee. Our Governor Inslee he's been our governor since 2013. He is almost always here at our ceremony, and we're so grateful for that. I know how thrilled he is to welcome new citizens to his state, and he's now here to give you some remarks. Thank you, Governor Inslee.
Good afternoon. Doesn't that sound great? Welcome home. I just welcome home. You are home. And by the way, you're not just any Americans, you're Washingtonians, okay? This is the best kind of Americans to be. I am thrilled to be here. I thought yesterday was the best day of the year in the state of Washington because we reopened our restaurants, we opened our businesses. But today we've reopened our hearts to the dreams of what this nation can be. Because this nation has been a nation that is always becoming. It is always becoming a new nation. And with your arrival and acceptance of citizenship, it is a new nation today. And you know the foundational principle that you have joined on, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed with certain inalienable rights. Among them are the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We know this very well. You know this central principle, and now you have embraced it with your personal ambitions and your personal dreams. But there's another line that I hope that you will think about that is emblematic about the secret of this country. First, this is a country that is an idea. It is not just a territory. And you are embracing an idea, becoming an American. And one of those ideas is forming a more perfect union. And my comments are around that phrase. We form this country to become a more perfect union. It has never been a perfect union. In 1860, it was not a perfect union. In 1964, it was not a perfect union. In 2021, it is not a perfect union. But today we have 44 new Americans that I know will bend your shoulders and your hearts and your visions to help it become a more perfect union. We know you're going to be doing that by voting. We know you're going to be doing it by speaking out against injustice when you see it. We know that you're going to help us become a more compassionate, a more just nation over the years in the future. And I want to thank you for your willingness to do that. Because to become a more perfect union, it does not happen organically or by accident. It happens because people embrace this idea to always fight for this democracy. And I have to tell you, this democracy is a fragile thing. It is at risk today. There are those who want to abandon the concept that we actually put people in office who win the most votes. I want to say that we are always going to put people in office who win the most votes, because the Constitution is more powerful than any person in this nation. And you, I hope, will help in that regard. So I just want to thank you for your willingness to bring your dreams to this nation. I want to tell you about my story becoming a citizen. It was February 9th, 1951. It was an arduous process for my mother. For me, it was really, really easy. You have chosen the more difficult and perhaps the more compelling route. Thank you for joining this great nation, and congratulations.
Thank you, Governor Inslee. And now I'd like to introduce our next esteemed speaker today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell. Senator Cantwell has been our senator for over 20 years and is another annual participant and tremendous supporter of the ceremony, and also I know loves to recognize the huge contributions that all of you make to our country. So welcome to Senator Cantwell.
Thank you, Anne. And I want to say a special thanks again to Alma and to Maria and to Josephine. You know how hard it is to sing those songs a cappella? They did it without music, so thank them for that. And what a beautiful ceremony. And Governor, thank you for guiding us through the pandemic. We greatly appreciate your leadership. I'm here to say congratulations, my fellow Americans. What a great phrase. I'm Maria Cantwell, or better known as one of the 2 answers on your citizen questionnaire. Name your 2 U.S. senators. Who knows the other one? Patty Murray, okay, good job. It's an honor to be here to celebrate this day with you. And as Jean and Peter and Swill said, this is about transformation. And we're here to witness your transformation from your country of birth to now the citizenry of the United States. And that transformation means you're helping us bring about change. Throughout the history, our immigrant nation has brought about opportunity and refuge. That is, a place to call home and a place to build a new America. One of our presidents, Teddy Roosevelt, said, "A great democracy must be preserved and be progressive, or it will cease to be a great democracy." So the questions before us today are, what role will you play in adding to our nation's democracy? We know that our history in Washington is rich with diversity. There's practically not an organization in our state, whether you're talking about companies like Nordstrom or Microsoft or Amazon or Boeing or Starbucks, that has not been made a success by an immigrant community. More than 74,000 immigrant businesses are owned right here in the state of Washington. These are people that are enriching our society and bringing about change. But, as was mentioned, part of that is our U.S. Constitution and federal laws guaranteeing you the right to vote. And if you haven't noticed, Our voting rights are in question today and how they're going to be administered. So I hope you will help us strengthen that, to participate, to make sure that you are part of the debate and that your voices are heard. I know that you will be what Teddy Roosevelt said, part of a more progressive democracy, because you are adding diversity to our nation. Congratulations, my fellow Americans.
Thank you, U.S. Senator Cantwell. This year, due to the pandemic, we limited the footprint of the special ceremony. There's usually an assortment of informational tables, including one for voter registration. Now that you're citizens, you have the right to vote in federal elections. Your white welcome packet contains a voter registration form and a guide to federal elections. Our next speaker, Washington Secretary of State, Kim Wyman, is head of the office responsible for overseeing state and local elections. You will also see Office of the State of Secretary on your voter registration form. Please join me in welcoming Washington Secretary of State, Kim Wyman.
Okay, I had all the time to not get teary, but as I look at all of you, I am so proud to be an American right now, and so proud of each of you for finishing that test, if nothing else, and welcome. It is really an honor to be here. This is my favorite day of the year because it is such a great celebration, and it is such an honor to get to join you with your families and friends to celebrate becoming U.S. citizens. You know, at the end of the day, this is what makes America great. And with the exception of our First Peoples, we are all immigrants or descendants of immigrants here today. We are so thankful to join you and be part of this. And when we reflect back on the last year when we didn't get to have this ceremony and the impact that COVID-19 had on our state, our country, and on the world, we all know that it was an equal opportunity virus that knew no boundaries and affected all of us. It threatened our friends, our neighbors, our families, and too many times it took our loved ones. It changed our world and it changed our communities. But I believe it helped each of us get our priorities in order. It helped us know what was important. Sorry. As I look out at each of you, I'm really inspired. Your stories and your journey to U.S. citizenship are what make our country so special and make our community so special. You are the American dream. You are what makes our country great, and you're the heart and soul of our communities across this great state. And as you've heard from many of the speakers today, what makes being a citizen so important is that you bring your history and your culture to your communities. Being a citizen means being part of your community, volunteering, being engaged, and most importantly, voting. And as a chief election officer for the state of Washington, that's really what I want to impress upon you today. We just came off of a very high-profile presidential election. But you know what? The upcoming election, the election that's your first election that you get to vote in, is actually the most important one. This year's primary and general election is when each of you gets to decide who leads your community. From mayors and city council members to fire commissioners and school board directors. These are the people who actually affect your daily life and the quality of life that you and your family have. The quality of the roads that you drive on, how fast a first responder gets to you in a crisis, the books that your children read in school. All of those decisions are made by those local elected officials. And guess what? Each one of you gets to choose those in August and in November. Now, if you couldn't tell, I get really excited about elections because we get to exercise our constitutional right at every election. And now I invite each one of you to join that rich American tradition and register to vote. I'm sad that you don't get to take advantage of King County elections. They're usually here in the Armory, and they get to register to vote, and you can get your picture and all of those things. But it's no less important. And make sure that you find that voter registration form in your packet, fill it out, return it, get registered, and be ready for the August primary, because your voice is what's going to shape our communities. Your voice is important, and it is an honor to serve you. It's an honor to be here, and congratulations on your citizenship. Take care.
I invite everyone to stand, if you're able, and join the new citizens and children of our nations in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance can be found on the first page of your program.
Thank you, our children of our nation. All right, I want to thank everybody today. Let's have first a round of applause for all of our new citizens. Then how about a round of applause for our just phenomenal speakers and guests today, and really amazing. Thank you all for coming. Congratulations. Just for citizens, please, you'll exit at the rear. You need to go back and get that important piece of paper, your naturalization certificate. You'll need to turn in that green card. You're no longer a permanent resident. Thank you today. This concludes our ceremony. Congratulations, and one more round of applause for all of you. Thank you. Okay, that's it.